Hello, Internet. I, like many others, have tried to quit things in my life, and a lot of the times I don't succeed. So I've decided recently to quit quitting. Now, I'll get into what that means, but first I just want to say this doesn't work for everybody. This is what works for me. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. I'm very aware that certain things in life you can't be one foot in with. You got to just stop completely, like certain addictions and stuff. I'm aware of that. So if this doesn't apply to you, that's totally fine. This is just my experience, my story. So there's been many times in my life where there's things that I do that I know I shouldn't do. Logically, it would benefit me to stop, but I just can't. You know, this can be a lot of things from very serious to not serious at all. Like, eating fast food all the time, you know, not going to the gym, being very sedentary, not moving your body, not exercising, not taking care of your body. Maybe there's a friend that you have that it's not really a good relationship. Obviously, different substances, certain substances, again, you know, it doesn't work for everything. But I always have this like ego part of my brain that's like, you should be capable of doing this or not doing this. Just will your way through it. You'll be better off for it. That's what you should do. But humans don't work that way for the most part. You really can't just you don't have as much control as you think you do. And it's something that I've learned a lot more recently. So for me, I'll use the example of smoking weed. This is something that I've done for almost 20 years. I've been doing daily for pretty much 15 years with, a couple breaks on and off in between. And again, logically, it would be better if I stopped because smoking is not healthy and I don't want to be dependent on anything in my life if I can help it. I would rather just be who I am, just get through my life as I am and not need anything to help me along the way. Yeah, it sounds great on paper, but for many different reasons, it doesn't work. So in my head, I'm like, all right, starting this day, I'm stopping forever. But that's so much pressure. And if the purpose is to not let something control you, by stopping completely and restricting yourself completely, that is still controlling you. And I'm not going to get into this too much because I don't know enough about it, but it's similar to like the AA mentality where the first step is you have to admit that you don't have control, relinquish control, and understand that this controls you, right? I don't think that's the case with me because it's just weed. I don't think it's as serious as like alcohol or other drugs. I could be wrong, but where I'm at right now, that's how I feel. So if I don't want it to control me, then I need to be the one deciding whether I'm doing it or not doing it. Because if I just blanketly decide I'm never doing this again, that is still controlling me and it's preventing me from making my own decisions. And I am the type of person that really needs freedom. I really need to feel like I have control over my life, even though I know there's certain aspects that I will never have control over. I want to be able to make my own decisions. So every time I try to quit, I don't go very long, like a month max, before I just start again. But that's because while I'm smoking, and I'm just using smoking weed as an example for me. This applies to many things, but this is just the most prominent example in my life and one I've been thinking about and dealing with more personally recently. So, the real power and real willpower is not you removing the choice from your life. It's you having the choice and still choosing to not do it. Does that make sense? Like having the the craving or the itch to want to smoke and then being like, no, I am not going to, even though I want to. Now, that's a lot more difficult to do because I want to do it every day. Like I want to smoke every day. I enjoy it. But I know long term, physically smoking. Now, I just want to clarify too, like, I don't have an issue with like being stoned. That's not my problem. My problem is I don't want to physically smoke because I smoke blunts. I smoke backwoods, which is tobacco. And any plant matter burning into your lungs is not good. So that's something that I want to severely cut down on for the long term. But it's hard because it's something I like. But the more I do it, the less time I'll be able to do it. Like if I do it less often for longer, that's better than if I do it a lot right now and potentially have health issues in the future where I can't ever do it. Does that make sense? I hope this is coming across like making sense because this is just personal to me, but I think about this stuff all the time and I think it's relevant. So what I'm trying to do now is wake up every day, assess how I feel, and decide whether or not it's the right time for me to do this. Like, am I going to go hang out with some friends and we're going to all be hanging out, maybe like playing video games, eating some food, chilling? That's probably a good day to smoke, right? Like it's a social thing. You're having a nice time. You're with other people. Maybe I'm not smoking as much because I'm with other people. That's probably the right time to choose to do it. But 10 a.m. on Saturday, when I have a bunch of chores to do and I smoke and then I just want to sit on my ass and play video games and make music or something, like that's probably not the best time to choose to do that, right? You know? Even though I want to, even though it's fun, even though I'll enjoy myself, I have other things that I'm prioritizing that I need to put over that in my priority ranking or whatever. So this is the direction I'm trying to move in. And another thing I've realized recently is having a hard destination most of the time is not like the best way to go about it, because if you fail, then you feel like that's it. But like, for example, say you're like on a path and the path is winding through the woods and there's like a place at the end of the path that you want to get to. If your goal is to stay on the path and get to this destination as efficiently as possible, and there's a moment where you veer off the path and you're in the woods, in your mind you're like, well, I already failed. I already veered off the path. I didn't do what I set out to do. So I failed. And then comes the guilt, and then comes the shame, and then comes the rebound, like the rubber banding. You know what I mean? Where you just go too far in the other direction now. So I try to think of things as a compass and a direction, where I'm like, this is the direction I want to go in. There is a path that I can go on. But if I go off the path a little bit and come back to it, I can just keep going. You know what I mean? And I think that's a way healthier way to look at it. It's a way healthier way to approach life in general, because then there's no failure. There's just setbacks, and learning. And I don't want to feel like I'm failing. I want to just feel good about my life and feel good about the decisions that I'm making. And in order to feel that way, I have to be confident in what I'm doing. And in order to be confident in what I'm doing, I have to listen to myself. Like there's plenty of things like, all right, another one that's less serious is like drinking soda. I used to drink way more soda than I do now, but it's still something that I struggle with because it's very unhealthy. Like the amount of soda and sugar on a daily basis that I intake, it's not good. And just because I want to do it doesn't mean I should. So there's more moments now, and it's easier with certain things, like with food and with soda, it's a little bit easier. Where I'm like, all right, I could drink this soda at 11 a.m. and eat some chips, or I could just drink some water and then I can have that soda later with my dinner. Stuff like that. So, the main thing I'm trying to portray in this video is maybe if there's something that you've been really trying to stop and you can't do it, maybe try to quit quitting and just live your life and see what happens. Observe your behavior. Watch what you do, learn from what you do, and then learn to work with yourself. That's where I'm at. Hopefully, you guys can relate to this. Hopefully, it helps a little bit. Wishing you all the best with whatever you're dealing with. I put out a video every Sunday. So if you enjoyed this video, you can come back next week for a new one. And I'll see you next week.